All right, we're here. We're talking Walking Dead season 7 premiere. We just got done watching it, and then the Talking Dead happened after that, which basically was them talking for 90 minutes, and basically throwing a little kind of funeral for who died. But we'll get into that in a minute. So let's address the elephant in the room. Season 6 ended 8 months ago. And I remember it was the same day of WrestleMania. And I had a Walking Dead WrestleMania party. And at the end of season 6, I was like, wow, this is it. Like, now I gotta wait, like, how many months ever. And it's funny because if you look at me 8 months ago when all my friends are sitting around and we're drinking milk and Oreos to watch
Milk.
to watch this. Because didn't we like stop? We stopped
It
the.
started as a WrestleMania party.
It started as a WrestleMania party, and then I remember that The Walking Dead. That was when because I fully caught up at that point. Because I binge watched the entire series, like months prior, and just full out watched everything, and because I wanted to get to the last episode of season 6 and get caught up, with everybody. And then we paused it and recorded it and whatever. Went out and got cookies and everything, and it was literally like a bunch of stoners. And then we watched it and we didn't know who died. Turns out 2 people actually got it. So we'll get into that. Negan, the character, is without a doubt a bona fide badass. Like, that man is insane, alright? You start off, you got Rick, he drags Rick, he's like, we're going for a little ride. And right there and then you're like, this is going to be great. So they go on a little RV trip. I'm not making this stuff up. Rick starts going insane, giving flashbacks of all the memories of all of his friends. And then, this was in the first 15 minutes, and then, Negan's like, we're going to be best friends now. You're going to be my right-hand man now, Rick. So he takes his hatchet, throws it up on top of the RV, and he's like, go get it. And at that point, Rick's still having a full-on meltdown, and he just sits there on the top of the RV, and he's really sad. And then at that point, 20 minutes in, we find out who he killed. The first person he killed. So it was Abraham for the first person. I actually thought Abraham was going to be the second person, if there was going to be a second person. But he was actually the first one, and he took it like a champ. He got hit first, then he said the infamous line, suck my nuts. And Negan laughed, bashed his head in, kept on bashing, and full on gore and everything. Like, this was probably going to be the bloodiest, violent season yet, without a doubt. And then it gets one upped straight up because Daryl goes crazy. Daryl goes and punches Negan. Negan's like, we ain't having that. So Negan backhands Glenn in the face, right? And his eye starts popping out. Everybody's crying, and then Glenn gets it. Glenn gets finalized. He gets killed off, and he becomes a bloodied pulp mess also with his hand twitching, and it's so violent. I don't think any kid should watch it up until at least probably 16, maybe 14, I don't know. But it's like, that was violent. Like, that was a lot. Like, you talk about people in the real world having pretty violent stuff, and then you see it on television, on free television, and it's just like, that was crazy. Like, that was some HBO level violence here, alright? And
I think it would have been worse on HBO.
it probably would have been worse.
They could have gotten away with a lot more.
I don't know how they would have one-upped it on HBO, but we'll get to that. Because something did crazy happen
Nudity.
near, well, we almost got some of that in earlier seasons. But we'll get to how they one-upped it, because you're like, alright, they've killed Abraham, they've killed Glenn, 20 minutes in, how are they gonna one up this episode? Like everybody's basically like depressed and sad and having like we as a Walking Dead community are probably like all shooken up and sad and PTSD'd right now. Like we are post traumatic, like stressing out about this. So what happens is, Rick gets the hatchet. Negan helps him out a bit. Just full on AK, but M416 blasts everybody around, all the zombies. Rick hands him the hatchet, and it's a very surreal moment where, like, dang, like Negan might cut off Rick's hand, but we'll get to what actually happens. And they have a little conversation. He's like, everything you have belongs to me. You're gonna make supply runs for me. You work for me. Basically, that whole gist of things. He takes him back to the camp. So it makes me wonder how long they were gone. Like, they must have been gone, like...
Yeah, because it started to get morning time.
It was starting to get morning time when they were, like, halfway leaving. And then, as they came back. So it makes you wonder if they were gone for, like, 2 hours or 3 hours. Like, they must have been gone for a while, and then they just had everybody there, as prisoners, still just waiting. And of course, when he comes back, he throws Rick there, and he's like, Rick, I wanted to break you. You're not broken yet. And, well, what happens next is he tells everybody, I want you to put a gun to the back of everybody's head, aiming at the nose, because then it's going to be a bloody mess. Straight up. And what happens from there is Negan looks at Carl, tells Carl, come here. And Carl's like, alright. He puts his belt around Carl's. He asks him if he's southpaw, and then Carl's like, no, not really. And kind of no sells it. And Negan's like, good. So he wraps his arm with the belt. And with the belt around his arm, he rolls up his sleeve and uses a colored, little black marker. Who, by the way, for those that don't know, Trevor from GTA 5, Trevor Phillips, the guy that actually plays him is in this show right now. And that is, like, one of the biggest villains besides Negan. Like, he's pretty tough. So he throws him a marker. Negan basically puts a little line and tells Rick, you're going to cut your son's left hand off, or I'm going to kill all your friends. And then Negan's like, well, I'm just going to bash your son's head in. And Rick's like, I'm going to do it. And as Rick's about to do it, Negan holds him back and is like, you're finally broken. So it's full on. He gives him a truck. He's like, I'll be back in a week. And the show kind of just ends there. Maggie was like, I'm going to kill him. And then Sasha, I believe, was like, I'm going to kill him. And, realization came in, that's not gonna happen. One of you's pregnant, one of you's just mad. So they go to bury the remains. Like, sure, it's just the body. Like, the whole head is missing. The head and neck is missing. It's exploded from both guys. They bury them. That's pretty much it. And that was the entire episode. So you go from feeling that Rick's gonna lose a hand, you find out Abraham got killed. Daryl did this. By the way, Daryl gets locked up at the end, so he's currently, like, locked up as a beast, basically. Because Negan wants to break him because he doesn't believe he's broken yet. And Glenn dies. You think that poor little kid Carl is gonna, get his arm cut off.
He was going to take it like a champ, though.
Carl was gonna take it like a champ.
He was like, just do it, Dad.
He did. He was like, just do it, Dad. And it didn't happen. And I think that would have been freaking crazy if Carl's arm would have been cut off. Or if Rick's. Or hand, whatever. So, what do you guys... I know I've talked for about, like, 10 minutes straight of just telling everybody the story. But I think it's freaking crazy. Like, from the last episode, which was basically, like, leading up to them getting trapped, and then just the whole gist of when he is going to die, and then this episode where it was just one-upped of, like, death, all of you might die, your son might get his hand cut off, or you might get your hand cut off, to, alright, you're all broken. So I think just the character development for everybody is just, they're all broken, literally. Like, they're all shards of what they used to be because they had somebody who was
Their
there
belly
since day.
boxes are all
Their
broken.
belly boxes are broken because someone who was there from day one had died, and then one of the strongest men in their group, the red rooster of the group, dies. It's just crazy. What are your thoughts? Anybody want to chime in?
That's the way, and, and this is just not just pertaining strictly to Walking Dead. It's
Uh huh.
pertaining to any show whatsoever. That's the way you want to start a season.
It was a great start, and it's like,
You have action. You get the people talking. It's a good opener. A good opening act to the what you're gonna call, what was it? What do you say, the seventh season?
yeah, it's the seventh season, the first episode. They did get renewed for an eighth
Seven
season, by the way.
seasons. Good start
So
to the seventh season. It's gonna get people talking. Gonna get people wanting to buy in on this show even more, and they're gonna be ready for another great season of Walking Dead.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with that one. It just really makes you wonder, like, how are they gonna one up all the drama? Who's next?
That's
The
what it
infamous line.
excites you because they almost have to. It's like you're almost required to make everything bigger than the last.
Yeah, and it's something where they spent a lot of kind of the last two seasons building characters. To see them build these characters, and then one of the strongest one dies, and then one of the most original ones dies. Like, we're running out of pretty much original characters left. We got what? We got Rick, Carl, Daryl.
Carl.
Is that it? Because then, you go into season 2 where that's Maggie.
I was gonna say,
And then Maggie's the only one left in season 2, I think. Because in
as you pertain to like for season 1, I think it is only those three.
Like, and sooner or later, Daryl's probably gonna die.
Well, no, remember he said he was going to keep Daryl as like a torture tool to keep Rick in line.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like sooner or later, I think definitely like by a 10th season thing, Daryl will die or Rick will die, because I think they won't kill off Carl. I think long-term success.
It intrigues
Carl.
me as to what the end game is here.
The end game is probably Carl. Like, I think you can get away with killing Rick, and you can get away with killing Daryl, but you got to keep one of the first characters alive, and I think that
And
key.
and it's the one that they can build upon because he's the youngest of the first three.
Well, he started off as like a kid. Like,
Yeah.
even back when I watched the show for the first time, like, I was probably 12, and he was probably like, what, 10. So I mean, add 6 years, alright? I'm 18 now, he's probably 16 or whatever. And that's just freaking crazy. Like, to see that 6 years of character development for him, and then what's left. If you see him go into an adult and being a leader of Rick's group, that would become Carl's group. I wouldn't want to see Carl go bad and, basically become what his dad didn't want him to become. But I would want to see definitely really good character development that's like progressive towards an end game, because I know, as sad as it is to say, there has to be an end game for Walking Dead. I mean, the comics are still going on strong, like really freaking strong, but there has to be an end game, I think, in terms of the TV
Black
show.
shirt is strong.
Exactly. There has to be an end game for the TV show. But I think in terms of season 7, we're really going to follow Negan beating the crap out of Rick's group. I think by my early on guess for season 7 ending is Dwight's going to die. Daryl's going to kill Dwight. That's going to be the thing. I don't think Daryl will die this season. I think Daryl will kill Dwight. Other famous people dying this season. I'm going to be ballsy. I'm going to say Carol. I say Carol gets the mid-season death. They always do a big mid-season death, and I think this could be it for Carol or Morgan. But they're building this environment of the kingdom, which will be Ezekiel, a guy who has a literal freaking, I believe, tiger or lion. I believe it's a tiger. He has a tiger, all right, that he goes to war with, and I don't think season 7 will be much fighting Negan. I mean, I think we will maybe by the end, but I think season 8 will be the big. All right, Negan's gone. What's next? Type of deal. But I don't think they'll kill Negan. I think if they follow it to the comics, they won't kill him at least, because I think there's definitely good money to build on if they don't kill him. And they could fill the aftermath of that, but I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the storyline in terms it pertains to the show? Because I think there has to be an end game to every show, sadly, and I think you said Supernatural earlier had 15 seasons. I don't know if Walking Dead will have that many. I mean, it's successful enough to probably have that many, but
I don't see it. I don't see it, honestly. If it goes really any more further, I would definitely say 9 or 10 would be the end point.
I think 10 would definitely be a good end point. But
anything after that, it would just start to decline.
Really? I mean, they've got, by that time, I think they would have great other characters built up that by the time people started watching. But I mean, that's a lot of catching up if you think about it for stories. That's the sad part for Walking Dead. There isn't too many episodes that are like a jumping on point. I think the only real big season jumping on point was the prison, in my opinion. I mean, you could probably jump on, season 1 was easy because that was the first season, but season 3, when you start going to the prison and all that, I think that was a good jumping on point. Season 4, 5, and 6 were just so much, I think you couldn't jump on there. Definitely season 7, like, you cannot start off season 7 not knowing anything. Like, you might by the end, but right now I think it's so much previously built up stuff that it's so crazy. So, but, anybody have any final thoughts or a little discussion?
Good episode. Gets you looking forward to the next one. Who's next? As Goldberg says, who's next?
And who's last?